Thank you very much, Andreas, for this really great panel discussion. And hello, everyone. My name is Georgia. I'm also part of the Plug and Play Hamburg team. And today it's my pleasure to walk you through all the startup and tech companies that will be presenting today. So to start with the topic storage and warehousing, I would like to welcome on stage Mike from Hark. Hark offers a cloud-based sensor platform that allows facility managers, energy managers, and asset operators to connect and analyze their industrial assets. But Mike, if you want to share your screen, the stage is yours. And please feel free to ask any questions all the time through the Q&A function, and we will answer them at the end. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Georgia. Let me share my screen. Let me know that you guys can see all that okay.
Yes.
Brilliant. Yeah, thanks very much. Just really interesting discussion on the panel there, which I couldn't have asked for a better segue into what I'm going to talk about this morning in terms of what we do at Hark. So Hark is essentially an industrial IoT and energy analytics platform. So what we find ourselves doing for customers throughout the UK, we're UK based, as well as we've got deployments in Germany, in the US, in the Netherlands, is we're delivering energy transparency for buildings and estates. So I think it was Andreas that made the point earlier around, should we start with heating? Should we start with lighting? And I guess kind of our view on the world is that we're essentially giving buildings a heartbeat. So connecting buildings and high energy use assets, achieving net zero, which is what a lot of our customers come to us for, is impossible without connectivity, control, and optimization of your existing energy assets, building systems or industrial systems that you may have within warehouses, within hospitals, laboratories, industrial parks, office spaces. They've all got different types of assets that are being used, consuming energy day in, day out. And what we've found over our work over the last sort of 7 or 8 years, excuse me, is that getting visibility of that usage at a high fidelity rate. So we're talking about real-time data here is very, very difficult. And so what we're doing is providing a set of software tooling that makes it very, very easy to connect to your industrial assets and get a real-time picture of your estate and your buildings with a view to improving the efficiency of those buildings, maximizing the yield, maybe output, and ultimately reducing waste. And that's essentially what we do at Hark. So regardless of the type of asset, whether that's a building management system, an energy meter, even with some of the hospitals, we've looked at MRI systems, and so that's what we try and provide, that openness, that single source of truth on, really. Just in terms of sort of talking about the types of company that we keep. So obviously there's a focus here on warehousing and distribution centers, and we've got some examples that I can talk about in a few minutes around those. But just to sort of show the flexibility of our technology and what's possible, I suppose. You've got the likes of Halma, Res Group. Res Group operate a lot of the wind farms, for example, across the US and the UK. Microsoft, you all know, we're looking at sort of deployments around office space specifically there. And then in the middle row, we've got Diageo, bottling facilities, process lines, again, high energy consumption, use of different energies, electricity, gas, even looking at utilities like water consumption there as well. To You is probably mainly a UK brand that you may not be familiar with, but owned by Asda, who were formerly owned by Walmart. They're one of the top 4 supermarkets in the UK, and they have a very large distribution centre. 2 or 3 different locations. So again, very much sort of warehouse buildings in that sort of context. And then you've also got companies like Störsel, Glass Group. I hope I'm pronouncing that right for anybody who's got a better grasp of German and Austrian language than I have. But glass manufacturing. So what they do is sort of manufacture premium spirit bottles. And again, really, really high intensity energy consumption from furnaces in that example. And the one that I'll talk about in a little more detail is Sainsbury's in the bottom left. They're the second largest UK grocery retailer in the UK. And what we're doing for them is looking at two different types of buildings. So stores as well as distribution centres, so warehouses. So looking at everything from fresh produce, so the different systems there in terms of refrigeration systems and assets, all of which consume energy, all the way through to things like vertical cranes for some of the ambient goods, as well as looking at things like trailers and chargers at the distribution centres. I'll rattle through this, but I know this is being recorded, so you'll be able to refer to these slides as we go through. But essentially, our software, we've got three products. The first product is Heart Connect on the left-hand side here, and that's essentially edge and cloud software that makes it very, very easy for technology teams, industrial teams, engineering teams, whether that be on the sort of the factory floor or whether that be at sort of a regional store level, to get connectivity via a number of different industry protocols. Pretty much every asset that you have in operation will have an industrial protocol. The challenge for facilities managers is that they're often different protocols, and manufacturers of physical assets don't tend to want to give you that sort of openness. And that's really what Heart Connect unlocks. So it's secure cloud or on-premise data, and it's going to give you that higher fidelity information in terms of being able to forecast future consumption, future usage, and basically model your estate and your buildings. Heart Analytics and automations is really where the fun starts, I suppose, in terms of visualizations and slicing and dicing that data. Once you've got assets connected, being able to make it an everyday thing for people to manage we talked about sort of footprint earlier on the panel, manage their energy consumption, make actionable changes across the estate. And we've got some automation tooling that can make that possible either at a localized level or at a headquarter level, and remotely operate your estate and really make changes. So, for example, changing lux levels of lighting is quite a common one in the retail market for us. And then further across on the right, the third tool that we've got within the Heart platform is Hark Energy Tools, which is essentially more advanced energy reporting. So we can look at individual metering, whether that be fiscal metering, which is here in the UK, or sub-metering across different assets, different circuits, and it gives you forecasting, alerting on your consumption, metering and targeting, and energy profiling, such as time of day usage, that kind of thing. And what our customers are using this for across those various different types of buildings, including warehousing, is energy analytics and management. So how can I better optimize my estate to not waste energy when we don't need to be spending money on energy? We've all seen the recent increases in energy spend. We've also got an engineering and a maintenance angle. So in the center there, asset performance monitoring, it enables greater control to protect against things like downtime. And again, with a view on sort of maximizing the yield of the facilities that you've got and the conveyors, the cranes, whatever process lines you may have. And then really where most customers want to get to is that asset automation. Now, that's not us as Hark sort of controlling estates at will. It's providing the tools, the rules, and the automations. If you're familiar with a tool called If This Then That, that's sort of the way that our automation suite works. So you're able to create triggers based on, if temperature goes above a certain degree C or degrees Fahrenheit, then you're able to control and optimize your estate accordingly, notify the right people, and essentially take action, which is the critical thing. So how does it work? Just a real quick overview of how it works. So regardless of asset type, so over here on the left-hand side, we've got examples like building management systems, HVAC systems, refrigeration control units. We've got energy submeters, even process automation controllers. We're able to connect all of those assets together and give you a digital footprint of your estate, essentially. So regardless of the communication protocols, Heart Connect on typically an industrial gateway is what we use for most deployments. We are not precious about what type of gateway. We will recommend something that's appropriate for the customer and the use case that they want to use it for. And essentially, once you've got that higher fidelity information, that's when you really, really can, start taking actionable changes. What we hear in the UK certainly, is that there's a lack of visibility about the ebbs and flows of how a building, how assets are using and consuming energy, whether that be, for example, air compressors, refrigeration systems, conveyor belts, process lines, vertical cranes. There's a lack of visibility. And so why that visibility is important is as we look in towards a renewable future, maybe putting solar across warehousing, for example, having that confidence in going, well, will my estate still operate while we go on this transition is really, really key to making the right decisions across your estate. Just a quick point that we're ISO 27001 certified. Again, that's something that customers and companies should be considering. You know, how secure is the connectivity to all of these different assets? And lastly, I just wanted to finish off with a quick case study. So I mentioned Sainsbury's right at the beginning. I know, Georgia, sorry, you're going to call me on time in a second. But just to give you an idea of scale, the Heart platform can start from 1 or 2 assets at one location and scale very, very quickly. So we've got over 24,000 assets that we're monitoring in real time across the Sainsbury's estate. That's just at store level. So we're talking about bakery ovens, lighting, HVAC, as well as the distribution centers. We're talking about refrigeration systems, solar panels, fire alarms, all of which go into that central goal of delivering a more sustainable operating system. And in terms of commercials, that's saved £1 million in the first 12 months, and it continues to optimize the Sainsbury's estate at a rate of 5% on operational asset costs. And I've popped a link in there to a more in-depth case study, but I'll pause there because I know we're short on time, but thanks everybody for listening and happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much, Mike. So we have a few questions in the chat. Maybe I will just pick one, and for all the others ones, stay around because in the end we will have a networking moment, and that's when you will have the chance to ask all of your questions. So let's say, what specific features or capabilities do you think that sets your solution apart from the other ones in the market? So
I think what we hear from our customers that makes us different is that we have if you think about connecting your entire estate, it's quite a daunting thing. And so what we try and do is help customers along the way and make it slightly more milestone-led or piecemeal. And we've had great success. So you can start with one store, with one warehouse, with one asset group, for example, and it's very modular in terms of the growth that you can roll out across your estate. So that's one thing. And the other thing that we hear is sort of what I mentioned earlier in terms of having a single source of truth. We hear from customers that they often have 15 different platforms to log into, you know, one for the manufacturer of your solar panels, one for the manufacturer of your conveyors, one for the manufacturer of your vertical cranes. You've then maybe got a gas engineer. And so what we're doing is bringing that into a centralized place to enable it easier to make better decisions on sustainability, essentially, for the stakeholders. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, that surely does. Thank you so much, Mike.
No worries.
Okay, so next up, I would like to ask Victor from Waku Robotics to share your screen. Victor is going to talk to you about Waku Robotics that enables warehouses and factories to select, implement, and operate the best robotic solutions by bringing robots from multiple vendors on a single live map. So Victor, yes, perfect. I think you're muted.
Thank you. That helps. All right. So I'm CEO at Waku Robotics, one of the co-founders. I'm happy to present Waku Robotics, and we help robotized logistics. So warehouse operations of tomorrow is driven by autonomous robots. Or basically, it's said that 2030, up to 50% of all global interlogistics orders will be processed by autonomous robots. What does it mean in detail? So not only goes a lot of venture capital into it, a lot of investment in general, but there's also a lot of different use cases that can be automated by mobile robots. For instance, an autonomous forklift, so manual forklift that drives without driver, cleaning robot, or goods-to-person systems that help with the fulfillment of orders. But 72% of all companies are stuck in robot adoption. So it's super complex. The reason for companies being stuck in the adoption is that there are a lot of different parties that need to talk to each other, from an integrator, warehouse manager, robot vendor. And because the process and robot data are siloed and scattered across those different parties, the productivity, not only of the planning process, but also of the final operations, is very low. And this is due to no or low collaboration between the parties. There's no central hub to coordinate, and there's no transparency. So for instance, if there's a certain data available in the process planning, that is not available in the operations, and vice versa. Therefore, with Vaku Robotics, we offer one robot management tool where you can find all that is needed to adopt robot in one tool, from planning and simulation to operations to maintenance. So how does it look like in practice? All starts with the planning phase, where different parties like integrators or innovation managers need to work together. Continues with the actual integration process, where the mobile robots that are planned, the solution needs to be integrated, connected to different sensors. It's the actual operation. So there it's really like about the people, about the processes, to make it as smooth as possible, to optimize. So of course, this is a continuous improvement process, but also logistics is very dynamic. So the demands on the operations change constantly. So the solution needs to be able to adapt to those different circumstances. And of course, maintenance is very important to always keep the technology in a very good state. So how does it look in practice? We have a designing tool called Lots of Bots. So it's the missing piece for warehouse operators, where everyone can find a robot market overview. You can go there, lotsofbots.com, it's for free. It's with over 400 different mobile robots, has a lot of educational content and success stories, and it has also a robot solution planning tool. After planning, there's the operation phase. So we provide a tool that is vendor independent and allows to operate robots from different vendors. For instance, you can see one card, one map, where you see all the robots operating. You get all the KPIs across all the processes. So you get really the overview, so that you have not only the KPIs of the actual status, but also the tools to adjust and adapt your processes to improve them. And last but not least, maintenance is a big topic. So many companies are not really used to run mobile robots. So we provide also a digital tool to maintain the robots in the most optimal state, and also offering something like robot as a service, so that basically the maintenance can be done based on usage. We have a lot of different happy customers, starting with Fiege, Offergeld, but I'm also very happy that we were able to help MS Direct, for instance, with a new auto store. And we're also happy to help you if you plan to adopt robots. How does it all tie into sustainability? So there are different aspects. One is energy. By efficiently routing and scheduling the robot operations, we are able to save energy in the actual day-to-day work by optimally planning the warehouse space. So like optimizing the solution and getting most out of the available space, we can save associated costs with the warehouse space, like heating and warming. Heating and cooling, and also reducing downtime and increased operational efficiency. So that is in terms of energy, but of course, big driver is also health. We have a aging population, so improving safety, improving ergonomics is a big topic. For instance, a manual forklift causes much more incidences than an autonomous mobile robot. And last but not least, here we also have the resources associated with a mobile robot. So there, as you know, like there are batteries in it and a lot of technology. And by reducing the number of vehicles that are needed to run a process, the associated emissions can be lowered. So if you plan to use mobile robots, if you want to benefit from mobile robots, I'm happy to talk to you, reach out to me, and I'm happy to answer your questions.
Thanks a lot, Victor. Again, I see a few questions in the chat, and I think we have time to answer one of them. Let's say, how do you approach user onboarding and training? So what kind of resources do you provide to ensure that your customer can easily adopt and use your product?
So it depends a bit where the individual company, the individual person is in the journey. If there's like no experience whatsoever, we really provide a lot of educational content on lots of bots, what I was showing you. So you can go there. There you find white papers. There you find the overview of our different solutions, and this already gives you a guideline. Of course, after that, we are also happy to onboard you on our tools to help you using them.
Great, thank you so much. Again, if for all the others that ask questions to Waku, stay around. At the end, we will have a final networking part.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so next up is Ingo from Packsize. So Packsize is quite a big company. Actually, we are now moving on to the packing and packaging part of our event. So Packsize is a sustainable packaging leader in North America, Europe, and Asia Pacific. And yes, are you here?
Yes, I am.
Okay, can you share your screen? Perfect. Thank you so much. The stage is yours.
So we think problems can never be solved with the same mindsets and created them. So that's what we are here and why we are doing our things. But what are the next problems or the challenges? Shipping volume is more and more increasing. When we have just a look for Germany, the increasing of shipments from 2021 from 4.5 billion parcels to the estimated 2026 5.6 billion is an increase of 25.7%. This is how do we cope with that? The influence on the sustainability and the environment. But what is the solution also on that? Is it just more transporters use, just more cargo bikes using? By the way, I like cargo bikes, but more trucks. Is this only the only solution we can have on that? Actually, we think, and this has a big impact, we need to stop transporting air in what we are shipping. Even the customers or the end customers of e-commerce would like to receive a right-sized box for their order. 74% says that. But why do we have still on the left always boxes when we are going to e-commerce with filler with much air and not instead of the right side with the right size? We found out with all of our e-commerce customers that we decrease the size of an average order by 30 to 40%. This leads to a reduction of used corrugated by 20%. In addition, we do not need that much filler anymore, so 60 to 80% filler is really avoided. And this leads also to 25,000 kilograms CO2 avoidance for every single 100,000 square meters corrugated. For example, one of our average customer uses up to 170,000 to 100,000 square meters. and we have a few thousands. But let's go to the transport area. When we take, for example, the left truck, which uses standard boxes, it's completely filled up. When you're going to the right side, the truck is almost not really empty, but it loses a lot of space, which is not needed. Let's assume that we reduce just 33% of the volume of any order in size-wise. This leads to 50% more orders can fit into a truck or a cargo bike or a plane or whatnot. This is a tremendous opportunity to avoid truckloads, avoid fossil fuel usage, and also for sure CO2 emissions. But how impacts you or supports you on-demand packaging in the sustainability efforts away or also supply chain? First, we start with less warehouse space. With a higher throughput, we can do and organize, and also we can optimize space, less box management, as on-demand packaging uses usually only a few different sizes. One big point is less corrugated, less filler material, and definitely less customer complaints we found out, and even broken items, so which doesn't need to be shipped around back and forth, and you have to compensate your customers for that. You also save a lot in transport and grow your company with the same workforce. Like, for example, Everdrop said before, they had very, very past only a few boxes they have shipped a day. Now they are in the month 50 to 80,000, and you can take our systems and grow with them without having several hundred people in your warehouse for that. But let's tackle the challenges of the future together, and I'm open for questions.
Great, thank you so much, Ingo. So again, a few questions in the chat. Let's talk about, so you're a big company, you've been growing a lot in the last few years. So how do you approach user acquisition and user retention?
User in our customers or the end customer?
I would say the end customers.
The end customer. So actually, we do not really approach the end customers. We approach companies, for example, like MS Direct, 3PLs, but need to cope with the demands of their customers. For example, brands which are saying the e-commerce fulfillment needs to be done by a 3PL logistics company. And so we offer our customers that they can lease our system as long as their customers is with them. And we have a wide range on that, so that they can be beneficial for a wide range of products even. So one of our customers is IKEA, almost Europe-wide. So even when you order a swiper and a candlelight, our machines are able to fit that in one box, so that we do not ship several boxes, for example. And also there's a press release out 2 days ago. So we also hooked up with Walmart and for their e-commerce to provide really this advantages of the saving in space.
Okay, so maybe we have time. Thank you so much. We have time for another question. So how do you decide the size of packaging for companies with huge SKU? It might still be a problem to maintain the inventory of the pack size items.
Actually, there are different possibilities to define the size of a book. The best thing is definitely with master data. For example, the the furniture company from Sweden, where we are using completely 100% of the master data of them to calculate the right size box for that. And this works really good. But we are also able to have certain things like through running measurement devices for every single order, or even handhelds. So it depends on the process, and we are looking deeply into the process at the customers. What does they need to have?
Okay, so thank you so much again. For the others, just stay around. In the end, we will have breakout rooms with Ingo again. Thank you so
for
much.
having me.
Okay, so next up, I would like to welcome Alvin from Pakurang. Pakurang is a supplier of innovative reusable packaging and transport ecosystems. So,
hello, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
yes, we can hear you.
Perfect. Let me share the presentation. Of course, I'm having some technical issues here. Sorry about that.
Let's give him 1 minute. Otherwise, I see that Michel is already here. Maybe we can give him a few more minutes.
Hi.
Yes, so yes, let's do it like that so that Alvin has time to
Okay.
solve technical issues, if that's okay for you.
That's fine for me.
Okay. So yeah, so Michel from SendMePack. SendMePack is a Berlin startup with the aim of making packaging waste disappear through e-commerce. And I think Michel has a video to show us, that's right?
Actually, no, I don't have a video. I decided actually to show you the products today instead of working with a presentation or a video, because yeah, I think it's very nice just to see hands-on what we're working with and why. So if you're ready, then I'm ready. But one moment, I will put on the timer because sometimes I do tend to over speak. So 5 minutes. Okay, here we go. So hi, I'm Michelle Reed. I am one half of the founders of SendMePack. SendMePack is a tech-based circular economy system that we have established. We are still a very young startup out of Berlin. We founded in April 2021, and it's been a crazy ride. I'd love to show you directly what we're working with. So we are a sustainable packaging company producing zero. We do not produce anything except for the label that you see here. But I'd like to actually tell you a little bit more about these shipping cartons. So in Germany, just like you had seen in the pitch before, we had over 4.5 billion packages that have been sent. And all of these packages, basically 95, maybe 99% of them are new and newly produced packaging. The problem is not only that in production of packaging, as most of us know, is a lot of water, it's a lot of energy. So we have, a huge environmental process going on to produce these cartons. And me and Philip, we always notice, why would you only use it once? As you can see in this part, it's a perfect carton. So what do we do with these 4.5 billion that have been, that are being sent around? So basically, we work with big production companies such as logistics partners, fulfillment centers, productions, anyone who has in their chain the moment where they receive packages like this, where there's products inside, instead of throwing them into recycling, we take them. So we have, in the short amount since we've been founded, we have saved over 1 million packages just like these. And what we do is we return them back into the cycle. How do we do this? Through our label. So as you can see, I'll just show it here a little bit more. So it basically tells you that it's reused. It has a personalized QR code, a name, and this is the message. So everyone who orders at their online shop and gets their packaging knows why it's coming in a send me pack. This is definitely essential for our company because over our app, but it's also web-based. So you can use our app or you can just scan it with your phone. You can see exactly where this carton has been, in what city it's been, and also how much CO2 emissions have been saved by reusing it. So a lot of the time, the question is, well, how many times can you use a packaging like this? We have tested and we still test. So for us, we have come to the conclusion that 3 to 5 times you can use a standardized carton. So semi-pack basically saves packaging on one end. We take it, we relabel it, and then we sell it to online shops who are looking for a more sustainable way to package their products instead of or having an opportunity to not change their whole logistics system or change the packaging that they've been working with. That is one pillar of semi-pack. I still have 1.5 minutes, so here we go. I'd like to show you the second, or actually it's the third pillar. It's our licensing system. So we have great big brands already working with us, such as Outfittery. And as you can see here, Outfittery has a beautiful box. It's expensive in production. And every time that this box gets sent back to them, because the whole model of Outfittery is, taking clothes and choosing them and then sending back whatever you don't want, they can use it over and over again, which means that they are a licensing partner from us. They buy the labels only, and they put them on all of their returns. Not all, as in 100%, but 25% they are saving packaging through us, which means we definitely spare all companies working with us on a B2B basis a lot of money to reuse their own packaging. They don't have to change anything. They're with our system. They get a certificate also from us for the CO2 emissions. Also another example is also this. So as you can see, we don't change a running system for a lot of the companies that we work with. We do give them the opportunity to have to keep the packaging that they're using, but also in fashion, there's 56% of returns, which is extremely high. And that is basically the last or the third pillar of semi-pack, is to reduce not the returns that are just seem to happen, but to basically give B2B customers the opportunity to reuse their own packaging by working with us over a licensing system. And yeah, there we go with 5 minutes. So if you have any questions, any details, I'd love to share.
Love the timer. Thank you very much for this, Michelle. So we have one question. So what is your product roadmap for the next 6 to 12 months? And if you're planning to prioritize any new feature or any new update, but I would like to add on top of this, like, what is your vision in the long term for the company? So how do you see your company to evolve over time to meet new needs emerging from the market?
Right, of course. Well, our main goal is to work with big companies. I mean, everyone is welcome to work with us. We have small companies and middle-sized, but of course the big ones who actually are producing and sending out these 4.5 billion packages a year, they also work as a multiplicator for us. So we have a system that is easy to implement. It saves so much money, because just paying for a label, as you can see here, is only a small portion of the size of a newly produced shipping packaging. So for us, the big main goal is to work with 50% of all e-commerce companies in Germany and to provide them with packaging, either it's safe packaging or to work with returns and therefore saving the money and even on a short term or long term, definitely reducing CO2 emissions, but also just packaging waste in overall and making Germany a cleaner, more compatible e-commerce.
Great. So I saw a few other questions coming in right now. I think maybe we have time for one more.
Okay,
From
sure.
Maite, saying there are so many online shops already out there, which are collecting randomly packages and reuse them for themselves. Why would an online shop collaborate and pay for these? What's your USP?
Yeah. So that was like one of the questions that we got at the beginning was like, okay, well, you know what? Everybody can use their packaging themselves, right? So we've also known that companies do reuse their own packaging, but what was missing in Germany or in Europe is a system combining all of that, because our goal is not that every brand kind of works on their own reusability, but to have one brand which takes in all others, somewhat of a big community, and work with us. So, you know, we have our app, we have our label, we have the licensing model. We have so many things that have now already been proven that big companies work with us. These are just, you know, 2 examples of over 300 online shops already working with us, and they're saving a lot of money. So that is definitely one of the big goals, is the brand, Semipack as a brand, to establish that just for the reusability overall in e-commerce.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot again. For the others, stay around in the end.
Yeah, I'll stay around. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, I see Alvin is here. Let's see. Can you share your screen now?
Let me try.
Let's
See
see.
if permissions are correct now.
Great.
Yes, indeed. Excellent. Yes, I wanted to spend 5 minutes on basically focusing on our insights based on almost 3 years of working with some big brands who are seeking to move away from single-use packaging to reusable packaging. And I wanted to focus on basically the journey they've had and we've had together, and some of the insights and the sustainability behind it. Briefly, what we are, we're a reusable packaging and return platform provider. And I'm not going to go too much into it due to the time restriction, but we've won some international tenders, for example, with Austrian Post. We're live in all of Austria for a while with a pilot with them. It's for 6 months. And we work with some exciting companies, which I'll go into, from about 9 countries. This, again, I'm not going to dwell on this. This is just to get a picture of what kind of packaging that we work with and have in our portfolio. The second one being our staple products, which is more towards e-commerce in general. The loop, again, just so you can have an overview over how it works. It's basically offered in the checkout, and we have API integrations, etc. And we work with and are establishing more and more partnerships with companies like Enshift, like very many host of different ones. We're in dialogue with some of the biggest ones in the world, and the goal is really to make it as easy as possible. It should be a no-brainer for e-commerce companies to offer it as an alternative, to let the consumers have the option. And that's all consumers demand, which I'll get into. Once you've basically purchased the edition in the checkout, and it's a service fee, but it's also a deposit that you get back, you return it via our app, which is a bit like a modern parking app. You see nearest return points in a map. And we have technology inside the packaging, which integrates with the app as well. And after that, I mean, after it's returned, you close the loop, and it keeps happening. And that's the beauty of it. And you get your deposit back in the app as well. Some of the key findings, which I wanted to focus on. So we've been live for a while with Decathlon, for example, and other brands, and we see some patterns. We see the pilot phase being typically 2 weeks taking for them to commit to a pilot. They typically start with 200 to 1,000 units, that sort of thing. Commercialization is taking a bit longer, not least because these are big brands, 1 to 3 months, typically 10 to 30K units. Some of the stats, so 70% return rate is sort of a worst case scenario where you force packaging on customers and don't even incentivize them. 92% is more of an industry rate. It's getting higher and higher. And five national awards have been won by for example, Austrian Post, and also OneMed, a medical company in Norway and across Europe. So it shows there's incentives also beyond the finances and the pure CO2. This is marketing. What brands care about? A little bit about what they care about is really the practicalities, the financial break-evens, the CO2 break-evens, and also the ability to have reporting to be able to put this into their ESGs. Of course, that's important. And that's why we have a back-end panel for that as well. And focused on data from the start. So every packaging has an identity. You could call it a name, and you could call it Stephen, and you could see how many times Stephen has gone around the loop and where Stephen has been. And the customers, customers, that is, are very clear that they want options, and they are basically picking customers or e-commerce brands based on their sustainability efforts to a large degree. So that's very, very interesting. Lastly, just a little bit about the proven sustainability aspects. We have an 87.4% footprint reduction, which calculates into about 8 times of break even. So you can, you send something 8 times in our bag, and you break even versus the equivalent parcel box. And I want to reiterate that our packaging is designed for 50 to 100 reuses, but Decathlon has sent some of them around a couple hundred times. So it's a clear benefit. And that's it. So we're out of time, but it was great to be able to present today.
Thanks a lot, Alvin. And yes, for everyone, just type your question in the chat. Okay, so we have a first question. So how do you manage customer feedback? So how do you adjust your product depending on the feedback that you receive from your customer? And in general, yeah, how do you manage that?
So we have 2 sets of customer feedback. So we have obviously the end consumers who are touching the bag and receiving it and needs to return it. We have systems for that within the app. We also obviously they go onto our website, and during chats, any means if they have a comment or a complaint or even positives that they want to share. So that's managed in a good way, but also you have a B2B aspect here. Is the e-commerce companies that are actually packing items in our bags, and that's also they're also very, very eager to share around the practicalities, what's going well, what's not potentially going well. So we find that they're very eager to share. So it's all about taking notes and adjusting, I suppose.
Okay, we have one more question. Again, saying that there are so many competitors that are doing something similar to what you're doing. So what would you say is your unique selling proposition?
I think the return aspect is a huge one. You can't rely on post box returns for 2 reasons. One is the CO2 aspect. It's not much piggybacking. If you have a pickup from a post box and then it goes to be some sorting center, et cetera, et cetera. So there's that. There's also the fact that a post box is very limited, and we don't compete against the poly bag. That's impossible to do, especially corn-based ones, etc. So we compete against parcels, and they cannot be returned in a small post box, bigger items. So I think we're placed a little bit differently. We're a more flexible platform.
Okay, I see a couple of more questions. And again, stay around. In the end, there will be some time to ask your question directly to all of our speakers. Thank you so much, Alvin. So now I think it's time to move on to our third category for the day. So shipping and last mile. And for that, I would like to invite Matthias from QuickPack to tell us something about the company. So QuickPack is a flexible and low emission parcel delivery service in Switzerland that relies on electric cars and that operates one of the largest fleets in Switzerland.
Thank you very much, Georgia, for the introduction. I just tried to share my screen, but couldn't because Alvin is still sharing his. So,
oh yeah, perfect.
Let's try again. Give me a second. Okay, and I would be glad if somebody could tell me if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay, very good. So, hi guys, thanks for having me here today. And QuickPack is on a mission. I am Matthias, and I would like to take the chance to share with you why we are convinced that parcel delivery is so much more than just parcel delivery. So now you should see the second slide, right? We are on a mission. We revolutionize the last mile of parcel delivery in a sustainable and customer-centric way. As we all know, the last mile in parcel delivery is the most crucial, most expensive, and most delicate part in getting your e-commerce to recipients. It may seem to be the easiest thing, take a parcel and bring it home, but so much can go wrong. And trust me, so much actually does go wrong. This is why in 2019, QuickPack set out on its mission to revolutionize last mile and do better. First, we decided to go full green. It is like we said thanks, but no thanks to diesel-powered vehicles and focused fully on electric vehicles from the very start, and not only in city centers and metropolitan areas, but wherever we go. Looking back, this was a perfect decision. When we started, though, there was a lot of skepticism. People, especially, of course, competitors, said there will be uncounted problems. For instance, like the lack of reach, lack of facilities with enough electric power, lack of experience in the maintenance of such cars, high upfront invest while buying a 100% electric fleet. Now, not even 4 years later, we are proven right. Virtually every parcel service provider in Switzerland has at least announced to rely on electric cars somewhere in the future. The fact that we are first mover gives us huge advantages. We already have a 100% electric fleet and have no diesel legacy to transform. And we have huge data sets to use. Just one example. We know exactly how much reach every single one of our vehicles has at all times, at every given temperature. And we have matched this data with our dynamic tour planning. So we are 100% sure that we will always have enough reach to distribute all parcels handed over to us. So the core of our sustainable strategy is, of course, our 100% electric car fleet. To this day, we have already delivered 12 million parcels in Switzerland and saved over 4,500 tons of CO2, compared to if transported by a regular diesel-powered parcel service provider. Besides avoiding CO2, our way of bringing parcels also significantly reduces traffic, fine dust emissions, and very importantly, noise emissions. We all know that no one wants the noise of traffic and cars, especially not where people live. To us, sustainability is more than just electric cars. We heavily rely on renewable energy sources to power our cars and sorting facilities. And we also do more when it comes to working conditions. As one of very few, we never hire subcontractors to deliver parcels. All of our delivery staff is directly employed by QuickPack. To them, we offer fair work, a safe work environment, and a fully transparent appraisal system that rewards good performance. Our mission is to revolutionize the last mile in a sustainable and customer-centric way. But what do we mean by customer-centric? Well, first of all, it means that we look at all, or at least a lot of our processes from a completely different angle than traditional parcel delivery companies. It means that we do not have a logistics-driven business model, but rather an IT-driven one. We see ourselves as an IT company. Our processes are designed with a digital mindset. We rely heavily on data and algorithms to optimize our processes. A good example for this is our dynamic tour planning, where others have fixed tours no matter how many parcels they have and how they are structured. We focus on intelligent dynamic planning. Depending on countless factors, our algorithms predict the perfect tour and matches it with the perfect driver and vehicle. This leads not only to cheaper production costs and a better rate of successful first delivery attempts, but to what we think is crucial to every parcel recipient: delivery predictions that are much more accurate. When others typically offer delivery forecasts with a daily time frame, we are able to communicate exact narrow time frames, often not more than half an hour or even less. And one last word to speed. We are not only super fast, offering same day and evening delivery, we are also very fast when it comes to parcel sorting. We rely on our patent pending color sorting system that makes capital intensive sorting facility obsolete. We are radically lean and fast. So join us on our mission. Let's make e-commerce more sustainable. Thanks for paying attention. Georgia.
Thanks a lot. Okay, so we have one first question in the chat. So where do you charge your cars? Do you rely on the public infrastructure or do you own your own charging points?
Yeah, we own our own, actually. We have those 6 sorting facilities in all over across Switzerland, most in the German-speaking part, and we can plug them in there, and we have enough power, and more than 80% of the power is from renewable energy. So it's a great thing. We have it in our own hand because we think this is one of the crucial things in our business model. Yeah.
Really cool. So, and in general, like, what is your long-term vision for the company? So how do you see Quickpack in the future in the market?
I mean, as I mentioned in the very beginning, we are from 2019 to now, we had a huge, tremendous dynamic growth. But we still have to grow more and more, and we expect to be 26. We have covered most of Switzerland, so we can. That's the vision in the midterm. We want to cover all households in Switzerland in the near future. On one hand, and then we want to move on from just interpreting the sustainability with a 100% electric car fleet to more sustainability in more dimensions like social sustainability and so on. So that's what I quickly mentioned in the presentation as well. Yes, and of course, then the second pillar, this recipient convenience. We want to have more recipient convenience. We want to have an app for our recipients where they can manage their parcels, where they can fully transparent see when it's going to come at their door, and so on. So the convenience for the recipient, we want to have the best one in the market. Yes, in a nutshell.
Yeah, really cool. Thanks a lot. We have one last question. Maybe you can just reply to this really quickly.
Yes.
Mike is saying, while your customers need to bring their parcels to your warehouse on their own, mostly with diesel trucks, only the last mile is really 100% green. Will there be a green solution too for that first mile?
The shortest answer ever, yes. So yeah, that's one of the goals we have until in 23 and 24. We want to have those depot transfers and all that stuff with renewable energies as well. So it's going to be beyond the first mile, the last mile. We want to have a fully electric or with renewable energies at least. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot, Matthias.
Thank you too.
We are running a bit late, so we just go ahead and introduce Max from Reverse Supply. So Reverse Supply developed a white label re-commerce as a service platform, helping brands allow their customers to return, use, but still good items and sell them again through their web shop.
Cool.
So Matthias,
Yeah.
the stage is yours.
Thanks, Rosa. Hi, nice to meet everyone, and thanks for the invitation to Plug and Play at MS Direct. My name is Max. I'm one of the founders of Reverse Supply, and we help, as Georgia said, brands and retailers to tap into the circular economy and own, the resale of their own items. When we founded Reverse Supply a bit more than 2 years ago, we saw that there's a huge trend, secondhand, in retail and e-commerce, but those guys that actually made products in the first place and put them into the market are not participating in that trend. We talked to a lot of brands and retailers when we founded the company and found that this is a topic that's on almost every brand's agenda, and it's something that they want to tap into, but they're kind of stuck and cannot handle the technical and operational complexities that re-commerce and secondhand brings with it. And we said, okay, we're crazy enough. We can do it better than these guys can, and build a platform that enables them, to own their business model, and we operate everything in the background end to end. Fast forward today, we are live with over 7 strategic brand partners, mostly in sports, outdoor, and sustainable fashion and streetwear. So if you want to buy secondhand outdoor clothes, you can go to secondhand at Globetrotter or Backside to kind of check out what the platform looks like from a consumer perspective. Or if you have secondhand products at home that you want to turn into store credit or money, you can go to those platforms and send those items in. Over the last 2 years, we reached over 100,000 sellers and buyers who transacted secondhand items on the platform through our brand partnerships. Over 150,000 secondhand items were handled by us. We have the logistics center here in Berlin, and what we're all about is really building the best-in-class selling and buying experience for consumers through the brand partnerships and through the customer relationships that our brand partners have. But why is it relevant for brand partners? Everybody knows fashion has a huge sustainability issue and also debt that they have to solve. The number that really shocked me the last time I looked at it, or it actually shocks me every time I talk about it, is that fashion is on the perfect trajectory to overshoot the 1.5 degrees Paris Agreement for the industry 3.5-fold, unless something changes. And right now, not many things are changing. That's why we're here. At the same time, companies and fashion brands are under pressure. Margins are getting smaller. People are spending less. We have huge companies like Pico Kloppenburg in Germany, going bankrupt. Just yesterday was announced Scotland Soda. Some of you might know that brand from the Netherlands, has cash troubles. So not a great time to be a fashion brand with everything that's going on, and supply chain costs are increasing, and their margins are under pressure. On the other hand, we see a very strong push from the market. Consumers want to shop sustainably. If you ask them, sustainability is on the top of everybody's agenda. One of the reasons we're meeting here today. But most of the consumers cannot afford the price tag because sustainable products are notoriously more expensive than unsustainable products, unfortunately. And we think we can change that by giving a sustainable, eco-friendly secondhand alternative in the point of sale of our partner brands. Also, there's regulatory pressure building up on a European level for fashion brands and retailers to implement take-back systems for the products that they brought into the market a couple of seasons ago. And we want to help with our platform. We want to help brands and retailers to kind of turn those regulatory requirements into a marketing tool that kind of puts or transforms circular action into a positive bottom line. Every piece of clothing that is traded and sold via the Reverse Supply platform offsets the emission of a new item. We did a life cycle analysis with a university from the Netherlands last year. We found out that with our process, roughly 6.7 kilo of CO2 are saved versus selling a new item. Something that we learned over the last 2 years is that tapping into the second-hand market is not the only reason. Retail is effective for brands and retailers. At the same time, it's a very strong tool to increase customer lifetime value, so recency, frequency, the monetary value of transaction. You can imagine if you trade in a pre-owned item with a partner brand of reverse supply, you would get store credit for your product and basically turn that store credit into another order. So there's a revenue uplift in the core business of our brand partners, and at the same time, they of course participate in the GMV increase that we bring through a new second-hand category to their store without basically any merchandise spent. What does the platform look like? We have a supply and demand side of the platform. In the middle, we have logistics and operations that we basically build and control with our own warehouse here in Berlin, and partner logistic companies in Germany. Brands integrate our APIs into their store setup. For example, Armed Angels, there you can send in items from the brand that you don't need anymore, and send them in for store credit. These items are then taken, refurbished by us, and we list them in the branded resale channel of the brand. So you can buy a second-hand item in Armed Angels online store, or we list them in the resale distribution network that we're building. So other platforms like eBay and other second-hand platforms where we can also list the items that we generate together with our partners. We also help our brand partners to sell imperfect goods, overstock, returned goods that came back as part of returns that cannot be sold as a first-time product anymore. Because in the end, we are really all about extending the life cycle of products and making sure that products actually have a life in the first place. And that's what we built the platform for. Looking at the process, I already mentioned a couple of things about it. The brand integrates with our API, or we have a headless e-commerce framework where we can set up a second-hand offering within a couple of days. You would pre-register your items in the trade-in channel of our brand partners. We will send you a prepaid shipping label. You drop off the pre-owned item that you want to sell at the post office, send it to us. Here in Berlin, we have a re-commerce hub where we receive the item, we evaluate it, we list product attributes, refurbish the item, take pictures of the item, then bring the product online in the branded resale channel or the resale distribution network that we built with other platforms. In the backend of our platform, we have dynamic pricing that's powered by machine learning, and we basically automatically create a whole second-hand product data set that is best to make sure that these items sell as quickly as possible. Then last but not least, the next person can buy a second-hand item in the same transaction with a first-hand item. And this way we really try to put sustainable, eco-friendly shopping alternatives front and center with our brand partners, and at the same time, enable them to tap into that business opportunity. Why are we not building a resale platform ourselves under the Reverse Supply brand? We think the next stage, and to really push the topic and make it big from a business but also impact perspective, is to work with those companies and organizations that already own consumer relationships. So if we look at a partner like Bergzeit, who have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of customers, we can help them to kind of interact with these customers better through secondhand, and at the same time sit on top of those consumer relationships that are already out there, that were built up by many partners of the last couple of years to make secondhand big and grow it much bigger than what it is today, where it's only happening on dedicated resale platforms like Vinted, the Step Collective, or shops like Momox Fashion and so on. Over the last 2 years, we grew the company a lot. We invested a lot into our own logistics and operations infrastructure early on. Here in Berlin, I already mentioned that we have a big logistics site, a couple thousand square meter, where we handled 150,000 items today. We built everything from scratch, from grading, evaluation, all the way to content creation and photo shooting. This is kind of the backbone of the company, and something that is super important also for partners to see, because they want to see that we control the full value chain, and we learned early on that there's no dedicated offering available in the market from logistics providers for e-commerce, for resale, and for secondhand products. So we had to build it ourselves. What does it mean in terms of numbers? 6 to 7 kilos of CO2 are saved on average for every item resold to the platform. For some partners, we help them to increase the revenue in their GMV by up to 10% without spending anything up front. People basically send in their stuff, for free, and then it's sold, so we don't have to invest in inventory as a brand anymore. The gift cards that we create for items that are sold, I said that create a revenue uplift. For some partners, we see that, for example, 10,000 euro of gift cards then result in around 50 to 70K, so average 60K revenue uplift. So people that buy other stuff with the gift cards then that we generated or gave out for secondhand items. And I think super relevant for everybody in e-commerce. It's a great tool to acquire customers. Out of the hundreds of thousands of users that we interacted with in the last 3 years, roughly 35% were completely unknown to our partners. So they were new, are now in their CRM, and kind of buy from them at higher margins than they were before in a classic wholesale or brick and mortar retail structure. This is us, real quick. I'm Max. I founded the company together with Yannis, who's an old friend of mine, and Konrad, who's our CTO. We raised money from some great investors over the last 2 years. For example, Capnamic Ventures out of Cologne or Dutch Founders Fund have great business angels on board. Somebody mentioned Outfittery before. We actually stopped lending from them. Julia is one of the early backers of the company, and we are trying to bring circularity and secondhand to fashion in the beginning, other verticals in the long run, and build the leading e-commerce platform in the circular economy in Europe. And I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you, guys.
Thanks a lot, Max. So I see one question in the chat. You kind of already answered, but maybe you can add something on top of that. So how do you measure the success of your product? So what are the key metrics that you track to get the performance and the user engagement?
What we look at is, let me answer. I think what we're building is essentially a platform, a kind of marketplace, if you will. And I think a very important metric that we have to look at is search to fill. So we have data collection technology integrated in the stores and secondhand offerings that we build with our partners. So we know what product somebody is looking for. For some outdoor players, that's right now a black Arc'teryx hardshell jackets in size L. We have to translate the demand into acquisition strategy on the supply side through dynamic pricing to kind of find the products that people are looking for and bring them there. Because differently from a traditional retail or e-commerce company, we can't just call our supplier or a factory to make 10,000 of these jackets. We have to find them in people's closet and motivate those people to kind of send them in, so we are able to have transactions.
Great, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Max. So it's now time for our last speaker of the day. And we have Al from Zigzag Global. That is a software solution that helps e-commerce retailers manage returns both domestically and globally. And today the Zigzag platform connects major retailers to a global network of over 220 warehouses, to over 400 plus carrier service in over 130 countries. Wow, that's a lot. And then Al, the stage is yours.
Good morning. Thanks for the opportunity to present. So Zigzag indeed helps retailers manage returns both domestically and globally. We work with a number of different types of businesses, but lots of them are fashion retailers. Returns are obviously on the increase. Post-pandemic, shopping behaviours have changed, and the returns page is often the second most visited page on a retailer's website. About 3/4 of buyers check the returns policy page before they purchase, and 41% of shoppers are now buying with the intention of returning a product before they've even checked out. Unsurprisingly, about 2/3 of the retailers we work with are moving towards paid returns in 2023. So our mission is to help cut costs both for the retailer and for the consumer, with faster refunds to help get stock back in the supply chain more quickly. The customer experience is key to what we do, and by creating a frictionless journey for the buyer, we increase the propensity to shop again. We make e-commerce more profitable, and over time we can help actually reduce returns through the data and the insights that we can give back to retailers. And we're also helping to cut landfill and carbon footprint by reselling goods in local market wherever possible. We work with some of the world's leading retailers and brands to manage over 50 million returns annually. So we're more of a scale up than a startup. We process over 1.5 billion pounds worth of refunds annually, and we do that now in 130 countries worldwide. We've got a slick and user-friendly returns portal that helps plug into a retailer's website. So we're able to receive information from that retailer. You would navigate to the page by going onto the homepage or the returns page of that retailer's website. And that's going to direct you to the returns portal. And from here on in, we control this journey. So the customer's going to enter their order number and their postcode, and we're live in 35 different languages around the world. We can add more if we need to, but they identify the order, and we're at that point, we're calling the retailer's API to understand what was in the basket at the time the customer checked out. So this customer's bought 3 items. We know what's in the basket. We know the value of the goods. We know the validity of that return and when it can be returned until, and we know why it's coming back. And does that retailer want to offer an exchange for a different item? So if they've got other sizes and colors available, we can prompt that customer to choose a different size or color to save that sale. And we're plugged into livestock feeds for that retailer. They can also get a straight refund if they prefer, so they can choose to return another item if they want to, and again, select the reason. And this time, instead of having an exchange, they'll select a refund. And what we'll now do is interrupt the offer with a gift card to allow that customer to shop again with that retailer. So we're plugged into the retailer's gift card system to allow them to make another purchase. We've then got thousands of carrier services around the world. So we offer pickup, drop-off, parcel shop, or locker, and many of them are paperless solutions. So that customer can get a QR code to download that QR code and take the item back into the DHL location. We also support return to store, for example. So if the Superdry store wants to accept returns, we can support that as well. During that journey, we're also creating tracking events. So we're sending the customer the email. They've got links to shop again. They've got links to social media and the tracking of that order. So we're aware when the customer posts the item, and that can trigger things like the refund or the gift card, or we can wait until that item is being delivered back to the retailer. So depending on the trust level we have around that customer, depends on when we refund that purchase. And we're controlling the messaging out to the consumer at various different trigger points to release the gift card when it's appropriate to do so. We've also got an inter-store solution. So we provide retailers with a way of returning goods in bulk to move stock back through their supply chain seamlessly. So that could be from store-to-store returns, or from stock going back to warehouses or even suppliers. So users are able to return in bulk using just a mobile phone. So it's a few clicks just to create a shipment, and we've got the catalogue of products held in the back end, so we know exactly what's coming back. We know which store's sending it. We know which carrier is bringing it back, and we know why those goods are coming back. And we've got a large number of stores live with that, so about 3,000 stores using that in 6 languages, 27 countries. We also support marketplaces, so we're working with Allegro and Secret Sales to help their merchants on marketplaces return items and get a uniform journey as well. We've got a very dedicated team on sustainability, so we're looking at providing customers with a choice of sustainable methods for returns, including zero emission carriers and paperless returns. Last year we saved 30 million pieces of paper, and we help retailers reduce the carbon footprint by providing more sustainable initiatives such as take back, resell and recycling. So we help reduce items going to landfill. So thanks for having us. If you want to find out more about Zigzag and how we're revolutionizing the returns experience, please do get in touch via al@zigzag.global or visit our website. Thanks very much, Georgia.
Thanks a lot, Al, for this great presentation. So we have a question. So how do you approach user acquisition and retention? So what marketing strategies have been most effective for your business so far?
So I think we work with 4 types of clients. So one would be retailers. So we're working with, as I say, large fashion retailers, and generally it's an open door with these guys. They've got a really big problem with returns, and we can prove that we're doing returns for some of the largest brands in the world, so they trust us. We also work with marketplaces who have a problem with lots of sellers, different returns policies in different countries, and we can streamline that environment. Another area we work with is carriers, so people like DHL, Royal Mail, FedEx. They license our technology, for example, and sell it to their consumers under their own brand. And then the final one would be 3PLs. So 3PLs have got obviously large numbers of outbound shipments, and they need a return solution that goes domestically and cross-border. We also could easily work with packaging companies, for example, that are on this call today to help them support them with return solutions in different markets as well.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Al, for this presentation. And I think it's time to wrap it up. I don't know, Luca, if you're still around, if you want to say a few words to thank our attendees that stayed with us, even though we are a little bit late. And I know it's lunchtime, and in Germany at 12, everybody goes for lunch. But for those of you that are still here, I think, oh, I saw Luca.
Yes, of course. I will keep it very short. I mean, a big thank you to everyone for joining the event with all the insights you have generated. I think there's so many ideas and things we can now hook on and make e-commerce more sustainable. Yeah, thanks to all the startups, to the panelists, to a keynote speaker, and last but not least, of course, to Plug and Play, you, Georgia, and the team. You made a fantastic job. Thanks for co-hosting this with us. And otherwise, I would say let's open the breakout rooms. Yeah, in order to keep it short here.